Under the waves, not very deep below the waterline and sometimes exposed by the tides, lay some stones. Laid out in a pattern and some stacked on top of each other. They are all of a similar size, although some are more eroded than others. When the water goes out and the stones are exposed to the air, it reveals their arrangement. It's not much bigger than perhaps 2 steps wide and maybe 3 or 4 steps long. The exposed surfaces of the bricks are very smooth, and because I associate bricks to be a very dry and brittle stone, they don't quite look themselves. But still they have the distinct reddish colour to them. A piece of pavement under the sea by itself, it leads to nowhere. It lost its function, which is to aid people's traverse along a road. Now it does not have such a different existence from the sand surrounding it. A piece of pavement below the water, rocked by the tides on its sandy bed. This place has had a change of face. It holds things differently from how it did before. It has become a stronger vessel, more tightly holding its substance, in a certain suspense, and with less interference from outside. The shielding of the land below water level from flooding and the tide left the people less bothered with worries they had before. A shift in priorities, as well as a very different relation to water, as something to be kept away, only to be allowed in by decision, not as something to be persuaded by. Most of the Now Peninsula and its surrounding islands are shaped like this. All the while below the waterline are the washed away remains of a vast amount of places who did not have the choice to defend themselves. As it were, temporary and shaped by the waves, doomed to drown eventually. Currently, fixed in place, the water has lost its hand in shaping the lives now lived beyond the wall that are keeping it at bay. Even within the lifetime of my grandparents, this land has seen major change. A change which is not only geological and ecological, but also cultural. Villages have lost their access to the sea, and with it their fishermen and seafarers. Places that were once divided by the sea are now connected by farmland and motorways. The people do not need to heed nature and become displaced by calamities and natural shifts in the landscape. A different movement emerges from this. One that is weighted by the history of the landscape, but free from necessity. A dynamic intertwinement of the land, the sea, and people is fixed and tamed. Sometimes, when the land was again reclaimed from the sea, their names were restored, but most of them did not leave very many traces. Some pavement stones, a contemporary street name in remembrance, and 1 or 2 lonesome church towers remain. That which did not rise from the sea is now part of the strictly monitored environment that are these waters surrounding the islands. The people have split with the forces of nature that dictate their environment. The previous balance has been overcome, and traces of the past become part of a new system where there is a controlled inside and outside. Still, the outside harbours these traces, swirls, and let them flow about with the tide.